Imagine you're standing at a crossroads. On one side, there's a life of financial stress, working long hours just to make ends meet, feeling like you never have enough, and constantly chasing the next paycheck. On the other side, there's freedom, the ability to choose how you spend your time, financial independence, and the peace of knowing you have enough. Which road would you take? This is the choice your money or your life presents. It's not just about budgeting, saving, or investing, it's about completely transforming your relationship with money. Most of us don't stop to think about what money really represents. It's not just paper or numbers in a bank account, it's life energy. Every dollar you earn is time from your life that you can never get back. So the real question is, are you making that trade wisely? Think about your last big purchase. Was it worth the hours, days, or even weeks of work it took to pay for it? Most of us go through life on autopilot, spending without really considering what we're giving up in return. This book forces us to ask, how much is enough? Instead of blindly striving for more, it encourages us to define our own version of fulfillment. The reality is, many of us are caught in a cycle of working to spend, spending to feel happy, and then working even more to maintain that lifestyle. We convince ourselves that a bigger paycheck will bring more happiness, yet studies show that once our basic needs are met, extra income has little impact on overall life satisfaction. If that's true, then why do so many of us believe that more money will solve our problems? Maybe the answer isn't earning more, but needing less. Now, this doesn't mean you have to live like a monk and give up all modern comforts. It's about being intentional. What if, instead of spending mindlessly, you only spent money on things that genuinely brought you joy and aligned with your values? What if you could reduce your expenses without feeling deprived, save more without feeling like you're sacrificing, and invest in a way that allows you to one day stop working for money altogether? That's the essence of financial independence. One of the most powerful takeaways from the book is the concept of the crossover point, the moment when your passive income, from investments or other sources, covers your expenses. At that point, working becomes optional. You're no longer trading your time for money. You're free. Free to travel, to create, to spend time with loved ones, or to work on projects that truly inspire you. The first step is awareness. Start tracking every dollar you spend, not as a punishment, but as a way to see where your life energy is going. Then, ask yourself, does this expense bring me fulfillment? If the answer is no, it's time to make a change. What if financial freedom wasn't just for the ultra-rich or the lucky few? What if it was possible for you? What would you do with your time if you didn't have to work for money? That's the question this book dares you to answer. If money is just life energy, then every financial decision becomes a trade-off. Would you spend an entire day at work just to afford that fancy dinner? Would you sacrifice a month's worth of savings for a gadget that will be outdated in a year? The truth is, most of us don't think about money this way. We think about how much something costs in dollars, but not in time, the one resource we can never get back. That's where the idea of your real hourly wage comes in. The book challenges you to calculate how much you truly earn per hour, not just your salary, but after deducting all the hidden costs of your job. Think about it. There's the obvious stuff, like taxes and commuting expenses. But what about the clothes you buy just to look professional? The takeout meals because you're too tired to cook? The vacations you need to recover from the stress? When you factor in everything, your real hourly wage is often much lower than what's on your paycheck. And here's the eye-opener: once you know your real hourly wage, you start seeing your purchases in a completely different light. A $50 dinner isn't just $50, it's 3, maybe even 4 hours of your life. A $500 gadget might be an entire week's worth of work. Suddenly, you're not just spending money, you're spending time. And if that time isn't bringing you real joy or value, is it really worth it? This is where tracking expenses becomes so powerful. It's not about budgeting in the traditional sense, it's about awareness. Every cent that comes in and goes out is a reflection of your priorities. The book encourages you to ask yourself 3 questions every time you make a purchase. Did this expense bring me fulfillment? Was it aligned with my values? Would I still spend this money if I didn't have to work for it? And this leads us to one of the most revolutionary ideas in the book, the concept of enough. Society constantly tells us that more is better, more money, more stuff, more luxury. But is that really true? Studies have shown that once your basic needs are covered, extra income doesn't significantly increase happiness. Yet we're programmed to believe that the next raise, the next promotion, the next big purchase will finally bring satisfaction. The book flips that thinking on its head. Instead of endlessly chasing more, it encourages you to define your own enough. How much money do you really need to live a meaningful and comfortable life? What level of spending allows you to enjoy your time without stress, without excess, and without feeling deprived? Once you define that, something amazing happens. You stop feeling trapped by the endless pursuit of more. You realize you already have enough, or that you're closer to financial independence than you thought. And that's where the magic of financial independence comes in. The idea is simple: if you can reduce your expenses and invest wisely, you can eventually reach a point where you no longer have to work for money. That's the crossover point, the moment and your passive income from investments covers all your living costs. From that point on, work becomes a choice, not an obligation. Imagine waking up every day knowing you can spend your time however you want. No more alarm clocks, no more office politics, no more trading your life away for a paycheck. But how do you get there? The book lays out a clear path. First, reduce your spending, not by depriving yourself, but by cutting out expenses that don't align with your values. Next, increase your savings rate. Most people save 10% or less of their income. The financially independent save 30%, 50%, even 70%. The more you save, the faster you reach the crossover point. Finally, invest your money wisely. The book originally recommended U.S. Treasury bonds, but today, simple index funds are a more common choice. The goal is to build a portfolio that generates passive income, so your money works for you instead of the other way around. Now, some people hear this and think, but I love my job. I don't want to quit working. And that's great. Financial independence isn't about never working again, it's about having the freedom to choose how you spend your time. It's about working on your own terms, doing what excites you, without the stress of needing a paycheck. Some people use their FI status to travel the world. Others start passion projects, volunteer, or spend more time with family. The point is, you get to decide. This book isn't about getting rich quick. It's about designing a life where money serves you, instead of you serving money. And it starts with a simple shift in perspective. If money is life energy, then every financial decision is really a decision about how you want to spend your time. So ask yourself, are you spending your time wisely? If you didn't have to work for money, what would you do with your life? What would change if you started thinking about money not as a goal, but as a tool to create the life you truly want? Alright, so now you understand the big picture. Money is life energy, and financial independence is about reclaiming your time. But how do you actually do it? How do you go from working paycheck to reaching the crossover point where your investments cover your expenses? The good news? It's not about luck or having a 6-figure salary. It's about following a step-by-step process that anyone can apply. This book lays out 9 steps to completely transform your financial life, and it all starts with one simple thing: awareness. The first step is tracking every single dollar that comes in and goes out of your life. Not for budgeting, not for restrictions, but simply to see where your money is going. Think of it like checking your health. Before you can improve anything, you need to know where you stand. Most people don't actually know how much they spend every month. They think they do, but once they start tracking, they're shocked. That occasional takeout habit? Turns out it's costing hundreds of dollars a month. The streaming services, the subscriptions, the small impulse buys, they add up. But here's the thing, this isn't about guilt. It's about knowledge. Because once you see exactly where your money is going, you can start making intentional choices. Next, you calculate your real hourly wage. This is one of the most eye-opening exercises in the book. You take your salary, subtract taxes, work-related expenses, and even the hours spent commuting, decompressing, or stressing over work. The number you're left with? That's what you're actually earning per hour. And when you start measuring your purchases in hours instead of dollars, everything changes. That $200 pair of shoes isn't just $200, it might be 10, 15, or even 20 hours of your life. Are they worth it? Maybe. But the key is that now, you're thinking about money differently. Once you've tracked your spending and calculated your real hourly wage, the next step is asking yourself 3 powerful questions about every expense. Did this purchase bring me fulfillment? Was it aligned with my values? Would I spend this money again if I didn't need to work for money? If the answer to any of these is no, then that's a signal this might be an area where you're spending out of habit, not happiness. And this is where you can start cutting out waste without feeling deprived. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Once you've identified where your money is going, you can start to minimize expenses and maximize savings. And no, this doesn't mean living on rice and beans or never having fun again. It means optimizing your spending so that every dollar you spend actually improves your life. Think about the difference between spending money on experiences that create memories versus buying things that just add clutter. Think about how much joy and freedom you could gain by spending less on things that don't actually make you happy. And the less you spend, the more you save. The book suggests tracking your savings rate and gradually increasing it over time. Most people save around 10% of their income, but those who reach financial independence quickly save 30, 50, or even 70%. That might sound extreme, but it's completely doable if you shift your mindset from, how much can I afford to spend, to, how little can I spend while still living a great life. But cutting expenses is just one side of the equation. The other side? Increasing your income. Most people think financial independence is all about frugality, but earning more can fast-track your journey. The book encourages you to look for ways to increase your hourly wage, whether it's negotiating a raise, picking up freelance work, or learning skills that make you more valuable. But here's the catch: if you earn more and just spend more, you're back in the same cycle. The key is to increase your income while keeping your expenses low, then invest the difference. And that brings us to one of the most exciting steps: investing your money so it works for you. Once you start saving at a high rate, you need to put that money somewhere it can grow. The book originally recommended U.S. Treasury bonds, but today, most financial independence advocates prefer low-cost index funds, simple, diversified investments that grow over time. The idea is to build up enough invested assets so that the returns from your investments cover your living expenses. This is the crossover point, the moment when work becomes optional. The sooner you reach this point, the sooner you break free from the cycle of trading time for money. Now, some people hear this and think, this sounds great, but I'm starting late, or I don't make enough to save that much. But the truth is, it's never too late, and every little bit counts. Even small changes in spending, saving, and investing can compound over time. It's about progress, not perfection. If you can only save 5% right now, start there. Then push it to 10%. Then 20%. The more intentional you become, the faster you'll move toward financial independence. The beauty of this process is that it's not just about money, it's about reclaiming your time, your freedom, and your life. When you no longer have to work for money, you get to choose how you spend your time. Imagine being able to travel, create, volunteer, or just spend more time with your family without worrying about a paycheck. That's the real goal. So, what's the first step? Start tracking. Track your spending, track your savings, track your progress. Because the more aware you become, the more control you have. The journey to financial independence isn't about luck, and it isn't reserved for the wealthy. It's a system. A process. And anyone can do it, including you. The real question is, how much of your life are you willing to trade for money? And what will you do when you no longer have to make that trade? Now, let's talk about something that often gets overlooked when people dive into financial independence: the blind spots. One of the biggest misconceptions about your money or your life is that it's all about extreme frugality. People hear about cutting expenses, tracking every penny, and maximizing savings, and they assume it means depriving yourself, living in a tiny apartment, and never having fun. But that's not the point at all. The book isn't about spending as little as possible, it's about spending with intention. It's about asking yourself, is this purchase really adding value to my life? Or am I just spending out of habit, social pressure, or boredom? Some people hear the word frugality and imagine a life of sacrifice, but real frugality isn't about restriction, it's about freedom. It's about removing the things that don't matter so you can spend freely on the things that do. Think about it like decluttering your home. If you get rid of the junk, you create space for things that truly bring you joy. The same goes for money. If you stop wasting it on things that don't matter, you suddenly have more for the things that actually make your life better, whether that's travel, hobbies, or time with loved ones. The goal isn't to live like a monk, the goal is to live deliberately. Another common blind spot: the idea that financial independence is only for high earners. People assume you need a six-figure salary to retire early, but that's not true at all. In fact, some of the most successful early retirees aren't doctors or engineers, they're regular people who made intentional choices about how they used their money. Someone earning $40,000 a year but saving 50% will reach FI faster than someone earning $150,000 but spending it all. It's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. Then there's the fear of missing out. Some people resist this lifestyle because they're afraid they'll be left out of social events, travel less, or miss out on experiences. But here's something to think about: what are you really missing out on? Are you truly enjoying that $100 bar tab every weekend, or is it just something you do because everyone else is doing it? Are you really happier upgrading your car every few years, or is it just keeping you stuck in the cycle of working to pay for things you don't need? Financial independence isn't about saying no to experiences, it's about choosing the right experiences. And let's address one of the biggest blind spots of all: the belief that financial independence is about escaping work. A lot of people assume that once they reach FI, they'll just stop working and sit on a beach for the rest of their lives. But that's not what actually happens. The truth is, people who reach financial independence often keep working just on their own terms. They start businesses, write books, volunteer, create art, travel, or pursue passion projects. The difference is, they're no longer working for a paycheck, they're working because they want to. So, here's the real question: what would you do if money was no longer a factor? What if you didn't have to work for survival? Would you start that creative project you've been putting off? Would you travel more? Would you spend more time with family? That's what financial independence is about: not money, not numbers, but freedom. The key takeaway: this isn't a life of sacrifice, it's a life of choice. The only thing you're giving up is mindless spending and financial stress. And in return, you're gaining something priceless: control over your time, your energy, and your future. So, what's really holding you back? If you found your money or your life insightful, there are several books that build on its core ideas. The Simple Path to Wealth by J.L. Collins simplifies investing and financial independence, offering a practical guide to low-cost index funds. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel dives into the emotional and behavioral aspects of wealth. For a more radical approach, Early Retirement Extreme by Jacob Lund Fisker explores extreme frugality and self-sufficiency. Finally, The Soul of Money by Lynn Twist examines how our mindset around money shapes our lives. Each of these books deepens the conversation about financial freedom. At its core, Your Money or Your Life isn't just a book about personal finance, it's a book about living with purpose. It challenges us to break free from the default path of earning and spending mindlessly, instead encouraging us to take control of our financial choices so we can reclaim our time and energy. It asks us to rethink what money really means, not as a goal in itself, but as a tool to design the life we truly want. The journey to financial independence isn't about deprivation or sacrifice, it's about freedom. It's about shifting from a mindset of scarcity and consumption to one of intentionality and fulfillment. The steps outlined in this book may seem simple: track your spending, define enough, invest wisely, but the impact is profound. As you move through this process, you'll find that financial independence isn't just about money. It's about having the power to choose how you spend your life. So, where do you go from here? Maybe you start by tracking your expenses. Maybe you reassess what truly brings you joy. Or maybe you begin setting financial goals that align with your values. Wherever you are in your journey, the key is to start. Small changes compound over time, and before you know it, you'll be moving toward a life where money no longer controls you, you control it. So, ask yourself, are you spending your life wisely? And if not, what's stopping you from making a change today?